What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. This is part of a series where I focus on Academy Award Best Picture nominees from a certain year and then rank them from worst to best. I finished off the 1990s, I did the 2000s, I did the 2010s, as well as current day 2020s. If you haven't checked out any of those videos, I would highly recommend you check those videos out and many more on my Academy Award Best Picture nominee playlist down below. But guys, you clicked on this video, so you know it. This time around, I am kicking off the 1980s by starting with 1980 and ranking every 1980 Academy Award Best Picture nominee from number 5 being the worst to 1 being the best, and of course, my humble opinion. And then I will, of course, also do 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, and then 89 will finish off the decade of the 1980s. And of course, in case you're wondering, yes, I will also be doing the 1970s in terms of Academy Award Best Picture nominees. As of filming this video, April 2024, I am working my way through the 1970s. So this video will probably be coming out sometime in 2025. So that means the 1970s will, Academy Award Best Picture nominees ranking videos will probably come out in 2026. So stay tuned for that. But it goes without saying, but my ranking of these, Academy Award Best Picture nominees for 1980, my ranking will differ from yours, and that's what's great about, opinions. They are different. And I'm very much so looking forward to seeing your ranking down below for the 1980 Academy Award Best Picture nominees. So again, we'll be going from 5 to 1 being the best, and of course, my humble opinion. So guys, enough exposition. Let's get started. So kicking things off, number 5, we have Ordinary People. Yeah, this was a very ordinary movie. I liked the acting, but that's really about it. Everything else about this was pretty standard issue. I kind of scratching my head that it won Best Picture over some of these other nominees. But I guess in terms of the nominees, this might have been the most crowd-pleasing. But I honestly do want to hear people's thoughts on Ordinary People. Like, I'm sure that there are plenty of people out there that will say, hey, I'm glad that Ordinary People won Best Picture, and I can respect that. I want to hear your thoughts as to why you think that it was the one that deserved Best Picture that year, because for me, it's one of the weaker Best Picture winners in terms of my personal opinion, and definitely the weakest nominee for 1980. But yeah, so Ordinary People, that's my number 5. Next up, my number 4, we have Coal Miner's Daughter. So this is a movie that I like the acting. I think the atmosphere is palpable. I think it does also a really interesting job of showcasing everyday people that we don't necessarily get to see too often in films. So I liked that aspect, but everything else about this movie also felt standard issue. Truthfully, I saw this movie, a month or two back, and I have a difficult time remembering certain things about this movie. And I guess you could say I'm getting older, but I would like to argue that just because of how standard issue everything about this movie is in terms of, production design, storytelling, the dialogue, nothing really kind of jumped out at me. Because of that, I just remember the acting and also just how it was like, hey, that's cool that we got to see, people that we often don't see depicted on films. That's cool. But besides that, nothing really about this movie stood out personally. But again, it is very well acted, and I can definitely see why it got some acting nominations as well as a win. So totally get that. And yeah, that's why Coal Miner's Daughter. It's my number 4. Next up, my number 3, we have Tess. This movie is very long. It is glacially paced, but it is a beautiful movie in terms of the cinematography, the costume design, the acting is really good. This is one of those movies where it's strange because although I found myself to be struggling with the overall pacing, I at the same time was like, wow, this is still like a really, really gorgeous looking movie. Like in terms of the cinematography, like I get why it got nominated, and I believe it actually also picked up a win. I get that 100%. Tess is one of those movies where I can see some people saying that this would be their number 1 for 1980, and I can totally respect that. For me, as you see, I'm more in the middle with it. I can respect it, but from afar, and that's why it's my number 3. Next up, my number 2, we have The Elephant Man. Great film. It's interesting because this is a David Lynch film. Same director who did Blue Velvet, Inland Empire, Mulholland Drive, Lost Highway, aka one of my favorite directors of all time. And yeah, as you can see, I own it on physical media. I think Elephant Man is a really compelling, sad Devastating film. It is incredibly well acted. It's got great makeup. The black and white cinematography is perfect. The sound design is awesome. It's a film that I can see why it might not work for some people because it is, again, quite sad. And that might have it where for some people they might not want to, even give this movie a chance. But I would argue that this movie is so humane. Like, it's a film that you really do garner a lot of respect and appreciation for just mankind in regards to this film. Because watching this film, like, immediately, you see how all these individuals treat this Elephant Man, and it's such a shame. But at the same time, you see Anthony Hopkins' character treat him with such care and delicacy. And you just really get on board with Anthony Hopkins' character. And he also gives a little bit of hope for mankind, if you will. And John Hurt also does a great job as the Elephant Man himself. Really, really good performance. Just an overall very, very well acted film. And it's, like I said, an impactful film. Any other year, this might have been my number one. But there was a film that came out that I think is even better than The Elephant Man. And I'm saying that as someone that loved Elephant Man. But Elephant Man's my number two. My number one is Raging Bull. So look, I know in terms of Academy Award history, a lot of people are like, Goodfellas should have won Best Picture over Dances with Wolves. Like, that's the one that a lot of people are like, in terms of Scorsese films, that's the biggest upset. I would like to argue that Raging Bull losing Best Picture to Ordinary People, that is the biggest Scorsese upset in my personal opinion. Because Raging Bull is just, it's a tour de force. It's got incredible directing by Scorsese. It's got an amazing performance by Joe Pesci. Robert De Niro gives an all-timer performance. I mean, this is one of the best performances of all time. It's insane with what he was able to do. The black and white cinematography is just incredible. Also, it looks amazing on 4K, I must say. The boxing scenes, although there aren't that many, they are really, really interesting. They are stylish. And that's just it. Also, this is a sports film, but it's also a critique of sports. It's a critique of the individuals that go into this profession, as well as how it can not only impact themselves, but the people surrounding themselves. And that's something that I also think is just incredible because, let's face it, especially in America, sports are glamorized to no end. There is so much respect, so much cadence to them. I mean, for crying out loud, sports players are paid more than, like, doctors. It's insane, but it's because, again, there is so much that goes into those professions. There is so much money that's on the table. But at the same time, those individuals oftentimes face a lot of mental issues. And this film does a great job of depicting that, where it's like, hey, this guy is a great boxer, yeah, but he also is a terrible, objectively speaking, individual. So again, it's a film that does a really good job of, in my personal opinion, provoking themes in a thoughtful way. And that's something I really enjoy about Raging Bull. As of right now, it might be my favorite Martin Scorsese film. I go back and forth at times between this and Last Temptation of Christ, but either way, this is a film that, in my opinion, should have won Best Picture in 1980. That's why I have it as my number one for the year 1980. So, yeah, 1980 was an interesting year in terms of the Best Picture nominees. But that's my personal, ranking. I do look forward to seeing your ranking of the 1980 Academy Award Best Picture nominees. Let me know in the comment section down below. And guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. Love the subscription, notification bell, follow me down Letterboxd, and I will catch you guys later.